David's doing some more home improvement. Safety first. He's got his goggles on.
Yes, which is steaming up because you're taking some.
Mine are too, actually. But I don't know, thought I'd show you guys the rest of the yard that he's got put up. So here's my squirrel thingy, and he did such a good job with the brickwork here. That was that big half-open thing that he took down. And then he kind of like landscaped the backyard, moved the fence out. That post has another lantern on it. I'll show you it at night, if I remember. And there'll be a bird feeder on that. And then this was a tree that we saved, a little bush that we saved from the front yard that was going to get cut down. So that's thriving. And yeah, there's more progress over here. What's to come. We're going to try to move my grapevines or something, hopefully save them. But yeah, anyway, I promised you guys a look at the backyard, and before it got too dark, I figured I would. Plus, you get to see David at work, who's getting bored waiting for me to shut up. So
Yeah, I'm not getting any younger while you're filming.
all right, we'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye. Hey guys, it's Heather the Crochet Witch. How are you guys doing today? I don't feel very centered. Hold on. Oh, better? I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, welcome to day 11 of Vlogtober. 11, yes, 11. Yeah. Sorry, I had to double check. For some reason, I second guessed myself the second it was out of my mouth. Anyway, welcome to day 11 of Vlogtober. How are you guys doing? I hope your weekend was really great. I know it's like technically Tuesday now, but it's the end of my weekend, so it reminds me to say, I hope your weekend was great. I hope your Monday was great then. I hope your Tuesday's going swimmingly well also. Yeah, so we've done a little bit of work around the house. David's done more than me. Like I crocheted today. That's what I did. Besides, like David and I went out for breakfast at Big Boy. Damon and I went to Walmart. Like he had to go get something. I think David made a quick errand run too, but that was it really. We stayed around the house pretty much the rest of the day. And I got some crocheting done, and David has been doing some, he's been up much longer than me, let me just say, but he's been doing some outside work. I showed you guys the like clip of the backyard, and then out in the front yard, whenever I show you guys my my two skeletons, the one that's in the back there on his own little pole, his name's Skelly. Whenever I show you Skelly, he's always got at his feet the mini pumpkins that I set up for the year, and then like two little kind of beds of daffodils, because David had gotten those from work for free. They were like getting rid of flowers basically, and he knows the daffodils are my favorite, and he brought them back for me. And I had wanted to, I always wanted to plant them somewhere, but I don't know, I just never got around to planting it in the dirt because I'm always afraid I'm going to murder something if I do that. So I had one of these big, actually, I think you've seen it also. It's usually turned upside down because it's empty, but this big planter. I can speak today. I can. That had like mums in it from last year or the year before. And like, there's been a variety of random things kind of shoved in it at our door, but a lot of the times it's upside down at the door, just like waiting to be used as like a basket, or if somebody needs to pick something up or like whatever, it can just go in there. But I have been meaning to fill it with dirt and replant my daffodils and have a big cascading like pot of daffodils next year. And David did it for me this morning. It was so cool, like so nice that he did that. I thought he just filled it with dirt and I was going to have to replant and everything, but like that's the excuse, was I never went and bought potting soil for it. But no, he did it for me, so appreciate that. And in the process, he must have found like this little sapling, maple sapling, uprooted it, and he just kind of tossed it. Well, luckily, it had all of its roots intact. And I thought, when David and I were going to the store, we found it actually. And I thought he had pulled one out and set it aside for me because he knows like every time there's like, I'm like the Johnny Appleseed of random trees. Like I don't plant them myself, but I keep wanting to like save them and put them somewhere, like relocate them somewhere. Because I love trees. I love having trees. I think we need more trees, like us and the world. And so that being said, I wanted to repot that too, just for the winter, basically pot it. And then once it's bigger and stronger and has grown fat from the nutrients in the potting soil, move it. Like we've done that a couple different times with trees. So he's got a bucket of earth in the backyard that when he cut down trees, I think I mentioned this to you before, when he had to cut down some big trees, he felt bad about cutting the trees down because he also doesn't like to, destroy a tree. And he knows that I'm super pro tree. So he had looked up how to basically save cuttings. And from that one tree, now there's 5 or 6 cuttings in the backyard and they're budding already. So successfully made some extra trees out of it. And so that's, that makes me so happy. He showed me today that there was buds on it. I was like, yes, we did it. He did it. Like all I did was look up how to do it, but he did it. But in that pot, I stuck the little maple for right now because there's one other one on my front step that it somehow got stuck. The seed must have gotten stuck like between the bricks, and it got enough light and all that it grew. I have a little maple tree just like popping up between the bricks. So tonight or tomorrow I need to go like really wet that down and see if I can pull it out without, because I can't really move the bricks since they're part of the, but I'm gonna see if I can wet the earth enough in there to pull it out, because it's a pretty healthy little tree starting. It's not big, but there's definitely little leaves on it and it's adorable and I don't want to kill it. So, but I can't let it grow up right next to my door either. So I'm trying to save it. But anyway, that one's going to get repotted, or relocated. And I think what else we did today. David wanted to move some stuff around. He's making the back, like where our washer and dryer is, he's making it a more usable space for a workspace for himself, because I've told you before, he's done like woodworking things, and he's done some stuff with like thin metals, and he's creative in his own way, also. It's like I'm creative with yarn, he's creative with like wood and metal and gadgets and things like that, besides music. So I always have his music channel linked down below, but he started a channel just about his musical growth also. So yeah, he's creative in his own ways too. And so he's been working on that today, and he started cleaning out the basement, because when I moved in just years ago, like I had sort of my own household that I packed up and moved here, and then he had his own household. So a lot of things ended up, we'll sort through this later. Here's a storage tote, put it away. And we've been slowly here and there pulling out a tote or whatever and going through that, like especially when we're on like our cleaning kick. And I'm feeling another one of those coming on, like a lot, just because like it ended up being a lot of stuff, to like go through and whittle down to 2. But a lot of it had just gotten, like, there was a basement, how handy, so it got pushed away. And we just want to reclaim that space, and it's things we're not using, so why have it? And it just makes me feel a lot better, and I know it makes David feel a lot better too. So yeah, it's just been like a cleaning around the house kind of day, really. And then, like I said, I got some crochet done, because one of my goals is, I don't know if I've ever showed you guys my first yarn shelf that David had bought me that I quickly outgrew, but that's still in the living room. And it's like basically against one wall, and it's this set of, like, I don't know, he used 2x4s or whatever and made this really big, nice shelf, but my yarn collection outgrew it. But next to that, anyway, my point was, is the big plastic set of drawers that I was talking about, having like a bunch of scrap stuff in it or a bunch of like smaller balls of yarn, and then my drawer of cotton. And my goal is, before we go to put the air conditioner in next year, to have that and everything that's collected on top of it, just like used, given away, relocated, something just gone, and have that space totally cleaned up and cleared out and everything. So here's hoping that can be done. But I did get some of the yarn out of there and start using it in a blanket that I will show you eventually, just a little side project-y blanket. I didn't bring it in here with me, but I will show you. So I got a couple of scrap balls out of the way doing that, so that makes me happy. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's everything that we've been having going on today. That's it. So without further ado, let me try to make this a somewhat short video. I have really short notes for later too, for the creepy story. But here is the collection of the different themed prize balls, I guess we could call them. Like, I have some, like, these are Friday or Halloween too. I was gonna say toys. They're not all toys, but they kind of are. Prizes, you know. These are the Gremlin ones. These are the ET ones. And then somewhere in here I have one more Universal Monster ball. So I just dumped them all in here, and I thought I'd mix them up and we could draw one or two depending on the day. I did one of each of them yesterday. Got some pretty cool stuff. But let's see, today's the 11th. I think that leaves 6 or 7 extra balls. So we could do 2 of them today, because really before the 19th starts my Advent and my gift exchange, my 13 days of Halloween openings. So I will only do one of them then, most likely. So we'll do 2 of them today. How about that? And I don't know, we'll pick it at random. But I am going to throw it back if they're 2 of the same kind. I'm just saying. Let's see, we got a Halloween one to open up. And then nope, Halloween's going back. An ET one. So we will open these up, see what kind of cool stuff is in it. Oh, okay, so I've gotten pins so far from some of the other ones. From my Universal Monsters, I got a Bride of Frankenstein pin. And then from ET yesterday, I got the ouch when you touched, right? I got those in pins, and they're really nice metal pins. This one is a pin. And again, I'm not really sure why they're doing Halloween 2 as opposed to any of the other Halloweens or just Halloween 1. But I got a Halloween 2 pin with the, focus there. There we go. With the pumpkin face in the middle of it. I love it. So these are definitely going on like project bags. I think they're going to go on project bags when I take my haul out and do my things with it. Yeah, so the ET one. So yesterday I got Wolfman shoelaces. These are also shoelaces, but they say, "I love ET." How cute is that? Those are so cute. Only have one pair of shoes with laces in because I usually wear sandals and stuff, and then in the winter I just wear the one pair. So I don't know, I'll have to switch them out or use this for something else maybe. Just kidding. But I will probably use the black ones, the Wolfman ones, in my shoes since they're black. But I do have an extra set of ET shoelaces now. I'll figure out something creative to do with that. But those are the 2 prizes that I opened up today. And then the second thing that I have been doing with you guys is I have 31 predictions, theories, ideas, topics of discussion that have to do with Stranger Things, most of which I found online, like they're the popular ones being talked about, and a couple of ideas I threw in on my own reconnaissance or whatever. And each day I talk about the topic and then open the floor to discussion for you guys to tell me like your opinion or what you like would do differently or think about it differently than I do. And yeah, I really love hearing from you guys about it. And I'm like super stoked that there's a lot of Stranger Things fans on my channel. So win-win for me. All right, let's see. So yesterday we talked about a spin-off idea. That was Steve and Robin having a detective agency. And I see that a couple of you guys commented on that and you did agree that that would make a cool show. So yay. I think so too. I think it'd be really cool. That one is a little more in depth. I have a video about that one, so hold on a second. Okay, this one's probably fairly short and sweet, and it's about our boy Eddie. So, the theory that I propose to you from the internet is Eddie could be the 010 experiment child, and he has powers of his own. That is the theory. Which 10, if you remember, in season 4, he's the one that was with Brenner when Vecna / Henry / 1 attacked, and he was assumed dead because Brenner like picked him up and cradled him. And as far as we know, the only survivors from that Hawkins Lab massacre was Elle and Brenner. But that was 10 anyway, the child there. And I know when I was reading or watching videos, not reading, sorry, when I was watching videos about this topic, people brought up that they felt like the actor that plays 10 has a little resemblance to Joseph Quinn. I don't see that personally. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think they do look alike, but people just also change a little bit, at least over time, especially with like hairstyles and things. And that was another thing brought up was when Eddie talked to Chrissy and he was trying to get her to remember like who he was. And he said like, this isn't our first time meeting. He described himself and he said like, I was a lot different back then. And he like kind of showed off his tattoos and he's like, I didn't have these sweet tattoos and my head was shaved back then. And she remembered him, especially when he started talking about his band, Corroded Coffin. But so he had his head shaved when he was younger. We all know that is a fact now. So people were bringing up the fact that all of the experiment children, their heads were shaved. Like when we first met Elle, her head was shaved. In season 4, they shaved it again for the experiment purposes, right? So that doesn't prove anything. It just does prove that he had short buzzed hair when he was a kid. People also said that they didn't feel like Eddie had this big reaction to like when he first got kind of informed and the kids and Steve and Robin and Nancy were all trying to tell him about the Upside Down, the creatures, Vecna, 11. They were trying to describe 11 and her powers. And he just kind of sat there and absorbed it all. Like he didn't have this big reaction, sort of. And people are saying like, maybe he already basically had an understanding of some of that, or he wasn't surprised because he had seen a lot of things because he was part of the experimental children. Personally, I think he is already in so much trauma from, the town hating him and thinking he's a murderer and seeing Chrissy die in front of him the way he did. And
it just seems like putting yourself in that place, like here in the real world, those things aren't happening. As much as I want this to be Hawkins, it's not. So like putting yourself in that place where nothing like that has happened to you before, like maybe life sucks or something, you know, bad things have happened, because he did say like when other kids' dads were teaching him, I think fishing or something like that, taking him fishing, my old man was teaching me how to hot wire and stuff. Like, so I mean, he didn't have the greatest childhood life, you know, and that kind of thing. At least until he moved in with his uncle, because his dad went to prison, I believe was another thing that he brought up. So I think there was just so much for him to already be like handling, and like he may have been more of the adult crowd, even though he was like a senior. He was like a 5th year senior or whatever they said. Even as an adult, that's a lot to process. It's a lot, especially without having first-handedly seen anything, except for Chrissy's death, which he was also trying to process, right? But he didn't see Demodogs. He didn't see Vecna. He didn't see even like the more gentler way to get involved with it and see like 11 and see what she could do, you know. He didn't see any of that. So like he was already trying to process, though, like I said, like Chrissy's death, he was trying to process everything in his real life that was happening to him, you know, like his town wanting him dead, basically. And I think it was just an additional thing to process. So he just quietly took it in, and that was that. So I don't necessarily think he, under any circumstances, would react like, what? You know, and that just isn't, like, Eddie found out about himself that he ran, that he was like not brave, but he wasn't like a spaz, and you know what I mean? So I mean, I don't think that necessarily proves or disproves anything either. I'm trying to remember what else was said. So like, if he had powers of his own also, surely it wouldn't have come as this crazy, I can't process this kind of surprise that what happened to Chrissy happened to her. Like, I don't see Elle knowing everything that she knows, even if they didn't know who Vecna was. I don't see Elle reacting terrified, running, you know, like, I mean, she may run because it's the smarter thing to do to go regroup, but like, I mean, Eddie just turned tail and ran, you know, which, no judgment. I mean, any normal person probably would, but I think if he had powers of his own, he would at least be trying to figure out what had been happening or what did this to Chrissy, or I don't think it would just like freak him out so bad he had to just like go and lay low, because he went and laid low before anybody thought that he was a murder suspect, because he was just hiding because it was terrifying, you know. Poor Eddie. Poor Eddie. But I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Like, anything's possible, and the Duffers could have had something in mind. I guess the other people are also saying that Brenner got up, but we talked about that, about the possibility of Brenner having like regenerative powers or superpowers of his own, and that's how he survived. Maybe he really did die, or, you know, was definitely dealt a fatal blow kind of thing, but because of his powers, he was able to overcome death or near death. But people are saying like, well, if Brenner survived, then surely, because he was right next to him in the same room, maybe 10 survived also and became Eddie. So I also think, because, okay, Kali escaped before any of this happened. Kali escaped, but she had said that she tried to live a normal life. She tried to find a family, and then that didn't work out, and she fled, and that's how she ended up in Chicago with her like ragtag group of, you know, other kids and runaways and stuff. So, and then 11 ran, and had 11 not encountered Benny to start with and gotten, like, Benny mistakenly called Child Protective Services, and that's how they wound up intercepting the call, and they came to get 11 that night, in fact, and that's how they ended up killing Benny. R.I.P. Benny, you deserve better than that. But had 11 not encountered that, and then right after that, Mike and the gang, and had some form of like friendliness in her life, I think she would have also just kept running, right? So I don't feel like as 10 would have escaped the lab somehow after that, and then just, you know, started living a normal life in Hawkins. And now, hey, here's his uncle to take care of him. I just don't see it. I don't see it personally. So I am not a believer of that one, but what do you guys think? The floor is yours. And then I have my creepy story coming up here. I do want to mention, and I will link her down below, but in case you didn't see my Facebook post, in case you didn't see my community post, Crafting Kitty has got nearly 1,000 subscribers. Definitely, if you are not a subscriber already, I think you would like to be. I really do. She's funny. She's so funny. And like her husband joins her for a lot of her videos, and he's so funny and he's so sweet too. But I cannot suggest enough that you go check out her channel. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed and given her some yarny love, you should. She has a giveaway going on too right now for her 1,000 subscriber upcoming accomplishment. I don't know how to put that. I was going to say anniversary. But yeah, go check her out. Go show her some yarny love. Let's get her 1,000 subscribers, you guys. She's so very close and she's so sweet. Down below, she'll be linked down below. And she comments a lot on my videos too. So like you'll probably see her. You could always go to the channel that way, but I will put her down below also. Just saying, just suggesting. But now I will move on to the creepy story, which I only have one short page of notes today. So, creepy story time is getting me to use my, I had this notebook like forever because I didn't know what to do with it, but my mom had given it to me. So I've just kept on it. But so like, yeah, I could write a little note on this side, maybe here, but I just started putting all my notes on this side of the, of the paper. So yay, using another item. Anyway, today's creepy story, because if you've been around, you know, I've been giving you some like real life things that have happened to me, real life things that have happened to my friends. And then we've also talked about like cults, serial killers, cryptids, Michigan's cryptid. Very cool. But we also have some other ones too. If I can find like more information than just the article, like on each one, there's a couple of them that I want to cover. So you may be hearing more about Michigan's cryptid population. But today I want to talk to you about a subject that some of you already find creepy, which is dolls. Specifically, not Annabelle either. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I want to talk to you about Robert the doll. Are you familiar with Robert the doll? If I remember, I will stick a picture of him up, but if I don't, and you Google Robert the doll, it will come up. It will come up a picture of this doll. We could keep things very respectful about Robert in this talk, and you will see why. But, so Robert the doll is now, if you see him now, she does reside in a museum. I will get to that also. But if you see him now, he's dressed in like an old like sailor suit, including like the sailor cap. He's, I believe, wooden, because his face is like scarred and pitted basically from the years and such. I know his body is straw, but I think his features are carved and wooden. His nose is just this little tiny, like it's been worn away over time. Robert's very old doll too. He is holding like basically he's a toy who's holding a toy of his own. He's got a little stuffed puppy that's kind of crazy looking. But you can imagine it in itself being a child's toy. And so Robert was in existence in 1904. He was manufactured by the Steiff Company from Germany. And he was, I believe they think that he was made to be a window display of some type originally. But he was purchased by the grandfather of, at the time, a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto. And yes, Robert the doll was owned by Robert the person, but Robert the person went by Gene because of his middle name being Eugene. So I will call him Gene during this, and Robert is Robert the doll. So he was purchased by Gene's grandpa on a trip to Germany in 1904 and brought back to Florida, to Key West, Florida. Everything about the Otto family, about Gene's family, they said that it says that they were a prominent family in Key West, Florida. So it sounds like they were kind of like on the richer side or something like that. Maybe a business owner of, I don't really know their whole family history, but they were a prominent member. And Gene grew up to be an artist, I believe, and he was quite the world traveler and all that. So from a young age, Gene had this super creepy relationship with Robert. He would refer to him like in the first person as though Robert were a living member of his family, a living friend, a living companion. He would talk to it. He would whisper secrets to it. He would just, this doll was his best friend, which that part in itself might not be as creepy. Because I know kids do form like attachments and things like that. But I guess that like even for an attachment, this was just super creepy. Everybody that was around them, the family and the house workers and stuff, they all agreed that it was like a way too close of a relationship. It was really creepy to them. Some people even claimed, even back then, that Robert gave off this aura of creepiness, and that he, like even his like, people claimed that his facial expression changed to like a scowl or whatever when, like, if somebody were rude to Gene or talked bad about Gene and Robert was in their presence, they said that his facial expressions changed because he was very fond of the boy as well as the boy being fond of him. A lot of people think that anything supernatural about Robert was basically spoken into existence by Gene acting as though he were a real person with him. That's like one of the beliefs or whatever. So Gene had this doll with him his entire life. In fact, Robert didn't come dressed in the sailor outfit that he had. That was an outfit that Gene had worn when he was a really tiny boy, and it fit Robert, so he gave it to Robert, and Robert has been wearing it ever since. So that's how close they were. They were sharing clothes. Gene died in 1974, and Robert, being part of his estate, was sold and then resold again. Like, I think the woman that bought the estate held it for like 20 years. She was creeped out by Robert. She said that there was a lot of like bad energy. She was said that, I'm going to stop this 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. I did not want my phone to be cutting my voice out weird after the 33-minute mark, so I had to restart it. She said that Robert, anyway, just jumping right back into it, was known to her and the people in the house to giggle at random times, like a disembodied voice that had to have come from Robert. He giggled. He was said to have switched places, so like they believed that at night or whenever he wasn't being watched, that Robert could move and switch spots that he was in. I'm not even like, dolls are creepy to me, but like I'm not one of the people that's like horrifyingly scared of dolls. They are creepy though. So just imagining that. they said that Robert could move other objects also, and that Robert could move, like, there were actually, I don't know why, but there were some voodoo figurines in the house, and they said that he particularly liked to move those. I think the giggling that just has me, man, right there. So he was already getting like a creepy reputation. And then, so that woman held the estate for 20 years, and Robert was a part of it the entire time. And then that got sold again. And the new owner just didn't, I'm assuming things kept going that way, where they believed that, Robert was doing things, talking, causing mischief. So she donated Robert. She donated him to the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, and that was in 1994. And that was, I guess that must have been like right after it got sold to her, because if Jean died in 74 and this other woman held the estate for close to 20 years, if the next owner is the one who donated him, it had to have been pretty quick. She's probably like, nope, we're not dealing with that at all. Like, goodbye, Robert. But he's stayed part of this place ever since. There has been reports that Robert is the direct cause of a lot of misfortunes to people, like people that come to visit him or that work around him in the museum. He's said to have caused misfortunes like car accidents, broken bones, job loss, divorce, sickness. All of these things are attributed and blamed on Robert. Robert is now in a glass case of his own. So he is separate from everything, but also the purpose was so he was more safe from the outside environment, because like Florida is very, damp a lot of the time, things like that. In fact, the curator of the museum, one of her jobs is to still go in there and check to make sure his straw is not being compromised from the humidity and things like that. So this box helps with that. And also creates that barrier between people and Robert, right? The box was donated by a fan of Robert's. He gets a lot of visitors. He gets a lot of letters and emails, and a lot of those are from people who have visited him. Who some of them aren't, some of them are not, but a lot of them are people who have visited him and are sending him a written apology because they were like rude or made some rude remarks about him or basically were disrespectful to him, and then they got the curse that Robert bestowed upon people. Bad things started happening to them and they felt they needed to apologize, and people say that once they do, the curse tends to be lifted. I know the curator woman said that she does try to answer a lot of the letters and emails that Robert gets, especially ones from children, because she feels like Robert would want to be kind to children because of his close relationship with Jean for like his whole life, but started as a child. There have been people that just like write to him for like advice or to tell him how their day has been. He just gets fan mail. He has his own social media pages now, if you care to look him up. I didn't read which ones. I haven't looked it up yet or anything. I would imagine he probably has a Facebook and maybe an Instagram. That would be my guess, but I don't know that for a fact. There was one other thing I didn't write down that I was going to add about Robert. I don't remember what it was now. But yeah, people write him letters anyway, asking him for advice and apologizing, like I said. Oh, people send him gifts. They send him candy is really popular because somewhere along the way people thought that he had like basically a sweet tooth. And that he liked getting gifted candies. So they will send him like candy, money, all sorts of just different trinkets and stuff with their cards and with their letters. And the museum staff said they never eat any of it. They never like spend the money. Oh, that people send joints to him apparently too. which the museum curator said is she's like, that's so disrespectful. This is still a museum regardless of what else is here. But people just send him like anything that they think is a gift that a human person would like, apparently. And yeah, like I said, the museum staff said they don't spend any of the money. I don't know what happens to it, but they don't take any of the money. They don't eat any of the food. They don't do anything because it's Robert's, and that would be disrespectful. And they don't want anything bad happening to them. So, yeah, he is still in the museum in Key West, Florida. I know what I was going to say now. You can visit him. And people even have the option, I assume they'd have to pay more money to do it, but they can be locked in the cage with him now that he has his glass cage at night or in the dark, or they pay to do that just to be close to Robert. Robert has been on a few different like podcasts and TV shows. He's traveled to a few different places. Like he traveled to Las Vegas, I think New York City, much more recently, because that was the first time they'd said since like 1904 that he'd actually been out of Key West when he started doing a little bit of traveling. But yeah, so Annabelle's not the only haunted / possessed doll, you guys. Have you heard of Robert the Doll before? And what do you think? Do you think that it's possible that he's cursed? A lot of people think so. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that little story and I didn't take up too much of your time with it. I hope it was entertaining. I hope that you liked it, like I said. Yeah, and I will have another one, of course, tomorrow. And I don't know, the doll thing's pretty creepy. I don't know what I'm going to come up with tomorrow. But anyway, if you haven't yet, and you might want to consider liking, commenting, and subscribing was what I was getting to. We are like 50 some people away from 3,000. What? Nearly 3,000 of you guys like to listen to me, at least from time to time. That's amazing. That's amazing. Anyway, yeah. Subscribe. Please. But all right, I will talk to you guys later. I'm gonna go make some dinner and then go watch a movie with David. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a really great day or night, and I love you guys. Bye.